Our super band, please, round of applause. Maybe they'll let us sing at the end of the day, if we're good. Okay, we're going to continue with the financial sector, and we're going to talk about blockchain. You can't have a summit like this without talking about Elon Musk, which probably has already been mentioned this morning. Was it mentioned this morning, Elon Musk? Here? Nobody was here? Well, in my other stage, he was mentioned already, so we covered that. And without mentioning blockchain. So we're going to do it now and just get it over, okay? And no wonder blockchain is in everybody's lips. Es la palabra de moda. No wonder, because they say it's probably the most important revolution since the arrival of internet. They also say it has the power of disrupting everything, from the banking industry to politics. But what about the industry sector? What do we know about blockchain and the industry? Don't worry if you know nothing or if you know a lot, because we have a super panel of experts that are going to precisely talk about that. And to moderate it, we have an expert on the subject, a very well-known figure in the sector and in the startup ecosystem, and a dear friend. He's founder of Faden. He's also an angel investor, successful entrepreneur, and the person with the most extensive collection of selfies in the world. Trust me, I follow him on Instagram. Please, let's welcome Eneko Knörr. Selfie, selfie, selfie.
No tengo. Ok, muy bien, tía.
Selfie, selfie.
Okay.
Come on. Okay, I'm going to challenge him. Once he finds his phone, I'm going to challenge him to do, you know, the ultimate selfie, which is having us, his panel, and the audience. Are you ready for the challenge?
Ready.
Shall we introduce your panel first? He's going to receive his guest, and they are Adam Draper, the founder and managing director of Boost.vc, Bernardo Hernandez, venture partner at eVentures, here they come, Alberto Gómez Toribio, head of blockchain at Bankia, and Eric Napoli, senior legal counsel of Amadeus. Welcome them all. Come for the selfie. Guys.
Hey, come here.
Guys, come. We're going to do the selfie.
Okay.
Come on, this is the ultimate challenge with the audience.
Another selfie. All right.
We made it! You will see it on the website. You will see it. Fantastic. You're all there. Thank you, Eneko. Thank you, everybody.
Hello. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here. Look, there are like 5 or 6 panels now happening at the same time. So we are glad that you chose this one. And you know what? You made the right choice. Hey, this is the place to be right now. Hey, look, the blockchain is the hottest topic right now, and you know, look at the panelists. Hey, this is the best panel right now. Not only the best panel right now, but the best panel of the day, probably. Okay, so that was the right choice. So let's start with quick introductions with the panelists. I'll leave themselves introduce. I mean, with like a one-time or 1 minute or 2 minutes introduction. Okay, Adam.
Well, thank you for having me. Actually, before I give my intro, I wanted to do a video. Okay, so I have this war cry that we do at Boost.vc, which is where I work. I say, "Who are we?" and then the entire audience says, "Boost." Can you guys do that for me? Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to stand up real quick. I'm going to start recording. I'm going to go. Who are we? Boost! Who are we? Boost! Who are we? That was pretty good. Thank you for tolerating me. My name is, I'm going to start, that's the first time I've done that, so you guys, my test audience. My name's Adam Draper. I'm the founder and managing director of Boost.vc. I once drank an entire bottle of Tabasco sauce in 43 seconds. But the reason I'm on this panel is probably not that. 6 years ago, we became the first fund to ever focus on Bitcoin-related startups. Bitcoin is powered by something called the blockchain. That's probably what we're going to be talking about. I have since invested in more than 100 Bitcoin or blockchain-related startups. I believe it's the most of any venture capitalist because we are very bullish on the space. Boost.vc is a pre-seed fund that focuses on making sci-fi a reality. And so we focus on crypto, virtual reality, space, crazy stuff. Okay.
Okay, Bernardo, please.
Thank you. Eneko, after this crowdsourcing marketing, like he always says it's the first time he does it, but he has like probably like 125 of them now. But my name is Bernardo Hernandez. I love technology. I love to solve big problems with the power of technology, and I've been doing this for 25 years as an entrepreneur, as an executive for big companies, and as an investor now. And I believe the best way to learn about something is to have skin in the game. It's a great book by Nassim Taleb that just went out that I recommend to everyone. It's Skin in the Game. And if you want to know about blockchain, when it came out, it's like what the best way to do that is to actually put skin in the game. And that's what I did. I helped on an ICO a year ago with Kike, there was, and then I invested in Verse together with Adam, and now I'm passionate about that project and in the fintech, and I believe great things are going to come out of the fintech and blockchain, and again, the best way to learn about all this is by getting involved, making mistakes, and putting skin in the game on that. That's
okay,
why I'm here.
Bernardo. Alberto?
Okay, about me, I am the head of blockchain in Bankia, and I have worked in blockchain since 2014. Was then when I founded the first blockchain, or better said, Bitcoin company backed by a bank. Yes, it was a Spanish bank, the first one investing in a Bitcoin company, and we are very proud of it. And it was also the first.
No.
Okay, it was also the first company funded using Bitcoin as social capital. After that, well, Bankia
Okay,
invited me to.
Okay, sorry.
Maybe a handheld microphone.
Try again, sorry, Alberto.
It comes back.
Okay.
After that,
Okay.
It's back.
I think so.
We're using blockchain for this technology.
After that, it's not working.
It's
Okay, please,
Microphone.
session.
There we go.
Okay. Well, as I said, I found that I started to work in blockchain, funding a company, a startup using Bitcoins as social capital. Also, having a bank as investor was something weird. And after that, I joined into the bank industry just to try to change all related with money using blockchain and especially cryptocurrencies. And well, this is what I'm doing here.
Okay.
My name is Eric Napoli. I'm a senior lawyer at Amadeus IT Group here in Madrid in the travel IT sector. And yes, I'm the lawyer on the panel, so anything said here is kept confidential. I give legal support to our strategic businesses group, and I sit on the same floor with corporate strategy. And I spend a lot of time, I'm a firm believer that lawyers have to be smarter or know as much as their clients. So I spend a lot of time with corporate strategy and with my business groups to learn about the technology. And I bring them in, I have them give talks to us about blockchain. I'm looking at a lot of biometrics, artificial intelligence. And one day speaking with somebody, they told me we were trying to understand what blockchain was, and I went to bed, it was around Christmas, and I started singing Santa Claus is Coming to Town to my kids, and I said, he's making a list, he's checking it twice, he's going to find out who's naughty and nice. And I said, perfect opportunity for blockchain, right? We could use blockchain to disrupt Santa Claus to figure out whether or not kids are good or bad. And from that moment, I've started to write about blockchain as much as possible. I've become very interested in blockchain, and Amadeus is looking at blockchain, and I'll talk about that today.
Okay, thank you. So maybe we can start the discussion with Eric. So you work at Amadeus in the travel industry. So what do you think about blockchain applied to the travel industry, and also like Do you think, I mean, blockchain is supposed to give more transparency, or do you think that it could remove intermediaries in the travel industry? So what are your views?
So I think in general, when we look at blockchain, we have to look at, are there situations where blockchain is appropriate? And blockchain isn't the end-all solution to everything, right? So in Amadeus, we've looked at, for blockchain to work, you need to have transactions, and you need to have multiple parties and have those multiple parties, a need for those multiple parties to communicate with each other. And so we've been looking at the different use cases. We're excited about the possibility to work with blockchain to the extent that it helps our customers, who are travel providers, and to the extent that it benefits the end users, the passengers. And when we've looked at this, what we've seen is there are 4 areas right now that we think we can start working on. One is traveler identification, so ways to have seamless processing of passengers through the airport, where you can combine blockchain technology to identify somebody with biometrics or mobile phones. Another area is loyalty programs. Something like 60% of people who use loyalty programs never actually use the points.
Interesting.
And there could be a wonderful market for people to be sharing loyalty points, either exchanging them with each other or using them in other industries. Another area is payment settlement, which is a huge pain point for our customers, whether they're providers of services or whether they're travel agencies. You have cross-international transactions. And another area is baggage tracking, where we've built a prototype where you can have multiple parties that interact with your bags in all different places in an airport, and put those on a blockchain, and everybody knows at all times where a bag's located. Those are the areas that we've identified as being interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, very, very interesting.
How many people here own Bitcoin? Okay.
That's not about now.
How many people here know what Bitcoin is?
How many people own blockchain? how many people have blockchain here?
Yeah. You.
One.
One. Great. No, I just wanted to
Good percentage,
check.
yeah. So Alberto, you work at a bank, at a big bank in Spain. So what are your views about what banks are doing related to blockchain? What are you specifically doing at your bank?
To address this answer, in Bankia, we need to think what are the needs of our clients. We have identified 3 different things in the blockchain space in which we are working. The first thing is digital identity. We are part of a national consortium called Alastria, and we are working with more than 200 companies working in the same thing, to build a new identity standard. That being said, we need to note that to solve this problem, the identity problem, not to provide any physical document at all when you want to open an account in Bankia, for example, through internet. To solve that problem is not just to build something using blockchain technology or any other sexy technology. It's much more. It's about to solve problems related with data privacy, standardization, and the most important thing, mass adoption or network effect. Most of you probably own a national ID, DNI, and it's digital. You own a digital identity, but probably most of you don't use it in any way. This is because no one wants to use something with a poor user experience. And the challenge here is not just to using blockchain, in my opinion. To build something is just about to get network effect, and we have a big challenge here. The second thing in which we are working in Bankia using blockchain is processes. We are exploring how to remove the conciliation processes we have between Bankia and other financial institutions when we deal with money. And blockchain is a very interesting technology for that. And the third one, and that being said, this is interesting to solve conciliation processes, but my personal opinion is business as usual. This is not something disruptive, and it's important to know that. The third thing, and this is maybe our our bet is about tokenization. We are working on helping our clients to provide solutions to create their own digital currencies. We need to know that a token is different from a digital currency, since a token is created and backed by a company to represent the ownership of something. Money blocked in a bank account, for example, you can move that money represented by a token from any part to other of the world. Kilovatios per hour of energy, kilograms of width, whatever you want. And I think the role of a bank in this scenario is to be the connector of the fiat money, euros, dollars, whatever, and this new kind of economy, the tokenomics. And in that sense, we have created a platform called StockMine. I invite you to check it in stockmine.io. And this is a platform to allow you to create your own digital tokens. This is something different from other banks because we are providing a software. We are providing something like a middleware. StockMine is a software designed to be distributed and to be installed on your own cloud infrastructure. So we don't touch your tokens in any way. This is something different. We don't want to provide technology. We are a bank. We provide financial services. But we want to help to our clients in their innovation processes, helping them to identify new financial needs. And this is basically the resume of what we are doing with blockchain.
Okay, that's very interesting. I mean, more than I mean, there are banks that are doing nothing related to that, or just using blockchain in like very like silly ways. So, Bernardo, as you've been an executive in Silicon Valley, entrepreneur, investor, so what are your views? So,
first of all, I think it's important to understand the essence of what we're talking about, and to me that's always critical. Blockchain has the potential of being huge, and it's easy to fall into the attraction of saying, oh, it's the new buzzword, I need to do something with blockchain, but it's critical that everyone here understands what blockchain is, and what's the ability of having a decentralized layer that can actually be a registry for everything you do, and what is the meaning of that to you, and that is the first thing that we all have to do. Adam asked the question, who here owns blockchain, who here owns or is doing something with blockchain. Just if you can have a takeaway from this session, just go and do something with it. Either buy Bitcoin or try to do something, whatever it is, with blockchain. I remember my first interaction on the day that I realized that this was going to be huge. It was when a guy that used to be my iOS lead for one of my projects, wanted to create his own company, and I was going to be an angel there, and I was going to give him $100,000, and I didn't like, the team that he was structuring. His name is Jorge Izquierdo with Visiban, and I said, you need a business co-founder. I was in power. I had the experience. I knew it all, and before I realized, 3 weeks went by, and I read on the news that he had raised in 20 minutes more than $30 million in ICO. That was a year and a half ago, and I was there, holding my $100,000 check, thinking that I had any power. I realized that day that this 18-year-old kid was able to do something incredible with a new technology that he understood really well, and I didn't understand at all. The day I realized that everyone can do something with blockchain, it was going to be critical. So I think it's very important that we all understand this. Everyone here can do something with blockchain, but it's your responsibility to actually understand what that is and what it means to you. It cannot be delegated to a bank or to anyone within the company. It's really up to you. There's the company that I'm the president, and it's this the best way to move money around, like the Spanish Venmo. We had blockchain at the beginning, and that was the layer to begin with. And we had to move away from blockchain to actually, because it wasn't scaling well, It was very expensive to run, and we created our own version of our blockchain. But we understood really well the stuff that we could do with blockchain versus the stuff that we couldn't do with blockchain. So don't fall into the temptation of the new buzzword blockchain, but just try to understand what it is, what are the implications for you, and why is it relevant for you. The potential of a decentralized ledger, it's incredible, but you need to understand exactly what are the implications of all that for you.
Okay, good. So Adam, your views as a venture capitalist?
Yeah, so by the way, the company that Bernardo is referencing was Aragon. And it's a Spanish company that raised $25 million. I'm saying that because Boost.vc did do that deal, so we're happy about it. At the end of the day, all Bitcoin, by the way, I'm going to use the word Bitcoin, okay? And you can use it analogously with blockchain. I think like Bitcoin gets a bad, like people use it as a bad word for some reason, like, and banks hate using the word Bitcoin, and I use it all the time, sometimes to piss people off, sometimes not. But basically Bitcoin is the reason that everyone's talking about the blockchain, and all it does is replace third-party trust with mathematical proof. That's it. Now, that is a very, very powerful tool. When Brian Armstrong, I was the first investor in a company called Coinbase, and when Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase, was pitching me, he was pitching me at this coffee shop, which means if you're an entrepreneur, you should probably pitch at coffee shops, because that's where I give most of my money. But when he was pitching me at a place called Red Rock in Mountain View, you guys are in Spain right now. Have you ever been to Palo Alto? Have you been to Mountain View? Okay, Red Rock is on the main street in Mountain View. It's really good coffee. But when he was pitching me, he said at some point the world is going to be on one financial infrastructure. Now, it wasn't a question, and to me, I was thinking, why isn't it? And that was what ended up sort of captivating me. That statement captivated me and has really been a part of the last 6.5 years of my career, is really supporting this ecosystem and building bridges. So all I've been doing is investing in hundreds of companies that are trying to connect the world's financial ecosystem. So when you're thinking of the blockchain, when you're thinking about Bitcoin, if you're not thinking globally, you are doing it wrong. Because this is the thing. Like, we are a global world now. What I realized yesterday, I actually just said this backstage, but what I realized yesterday while I was in Spain taking all these meetings was all of my conversations are exactly the same. They're all about the same technologies that I'm talking about in Silicon Valley at the exact same educational level of my conversations in Silicon Valley. Like, I'm talking about blockchain, I'm talking about crypto, I'm talking about autonomous cars, I'm talking about VR. Like, everything is the same. And suddenly, because of the internet, we have this communication layer that everyone has the same information at the exact same time. That's incredible. But now what we're doing is we're creating scarcity on the internet. We're allowing there to be one of something on the internet. It isn't infinite anymore. There is one. I can verifiably prove identity with a blockchain. I can verifiably prove that I own my money. If you want personal sovereignty, if you want freedom of money, that's really what everything. It's about connecting the world's trade, and I feel safer with my money in my hands than the bank's hands. But that's that's a separate argument for another day.
So
blockchain.
So blockchain it's a super broad concept. I mean, it goes from blockchain for the enterprise. You know, there are tons of people that say, like, oh, I like blockchain, but I don't like crypto, these kind of things. And there is crypto, there is ICO, so I mean, we can talk for hours about this. And there is a lot of discussion between like private blockchains, public blockchains. So, so what do you think about this, Eric, or who?
Well, I guess two comments, one to Bernardo and one to Alberto. So I think one important thing Bernardo says is you have to know what blockchain is and what it isn't. And right now, blockchain has, at least for my industry, a lot of limitations. What do my customers want? My customers want availability of the sale of their tickets right now. and they want to be able to process transactions really quickly. And right now, blockchain is just too slow for people who want things right now. So when you're looking at what goes into blockchain and what doesn't, it might be good for Bitcoin, but for other transactions, it's just not ready. And another thing that Alberto was talking about ID, another thing that people have to think about when they're designing blockchain, what I think is very important, and I'm saying this from a legal standpoint, is you really have to think about the end user first. So you can't be too religious about exactly what the blockchain does. You have to think, is the end user going to be comfortable using a system where they're putting their ID on a blockchain forever? When you talk about traction, people have to be very comfortable. Adam's saying right now he's very comfortable having his money in a blockchain, not in the bank. We have to make sure when we're looking at new technologies, when we talk about privacy by design, we're designing things so that the customer really wants to use it. And if the customer really wants to use it and they like using it, they're comfortable, regulation will follow.
Yeah, but in the case of the blockchain, we are moving the responsibility from a service provider to the user. When you own Bitcoins, for example, you are responsible of your private key. And if you lose the private key, you lose your Bitcoins. This is not especially user-friendly, you know. The difference between private and public blockchains, I think there is no so much about user experience, and this should be the most important thing. It's about the comfortable of the companies. And I think this is the same case as, for example, did you know the first person in McDonald's proposing to have a web page was fired? Just because, wow, it's crazy to have a web page over there on internet. Everyone could check it, and right now, we kill each other to be in the first page of the search result of Google, right? I think it's happening the same with blockchain. I think this is just about getting momentum, and the public blockchains, for us, are especially important in the case of tokenization, because if you want to represent the ownership of something with a token, you want to put that token in a network in which potentially can be anyone, not in a private one, in the case of tokenization. In the case of identity, maybe it's different, because we maybe need to share, you know, personal information or whatever. And by the way, in Alastria, for example, a national ID blockchain solution, they are not sharing personal information, they are just sharing hashes, something cryptographically, and there is no personal information there. But where, in my opinion, the potential is in the public blockchains, and right now the private ones are just a path to find, you know, the way of working with public blockchains.
Good.
I think another important thing is actually regulatory issues. If you know, we need, you know, legal environments that actually can be an ecosystem where all this can grow. You know, you have countries like Singapore or Lithuania that actually get it. So if there is something that all of you can do, actually, to help, and it's to vote, you know, representatives and politicians that actually get it. We're not going to go anywhere with the politicians that we have today that actually don't get it. They don't even understand. They don't even, like, you know, the caliber of these conversations, they can even begin to understand. Or even our Secretary of State, which I think he get it, but then he becomes a little bit too coward versus another politician. So, you know, none of this is going to happen if we have politicians that actually don't get it. And not only they do nothing like the ones we had before, but they do actually things against it. You know, to get a license in Spain to do anything in fintech today, it's impossible. You know, that needs to change. You know, we have to go to Lithuania to actually do business. You know, instead of like having politicians that actually encourage, you know, the creations and the development of all these technologies right here within Spain. So it's really important to do everything that we do, but it's also really important that the other half of the equation, which is the legal framework that actually is going to allow all of this to be developed, exists. And we don't have it today, and we need to make sure that actually we have politicians that actually get it and understand it.
So Adam, ICOs were supposed to disrupt the venture capital industry. So what's going on now? What are your views?
Yeah, it's over. Disrupted it. It's done. I think at the end of the day, so a big piece of like what drives me is just the user should have control over their own stuff, their own money, their own whatever the thing is. And what the ICO did was it gave people control over ideas and allowed you to fundraise. It took the power away from these central services who were dictating the power law of venture capital and deciding, and it gave it back to anyone who wanted to support an idea. And that's really exciting. What we saw in 2017 was how powerful that could be. And it attracted so many smart people. When you watch just the smartest people you know running into an industry, like you want to invest in that industry, and that's what we do. And so do I think venture capital as a whole is going away? No, it's evolving. Like I'm not a venture capitalist. I'm along with everyone else. I'm competing for the same deal flow. Just like we all have the same communication channels and we compete for the same information, now all of a sudden we're competing for the same ideas. We can look at the same thing. So I think that there's a new evolution of what venture capital means. And at the end of the day, it's about creating a higher quality service. So suddenly we have to compete with everyone else and provide a service. It's not just money. It's, hey, I can open doors for you. I can figure out like what the competitive advantage is going to be for your specific company. It's no longer just about money. And that's why I love Bitcoin in general, is because it's not about like banks. It's about the banks delivering a really bad service for a high cost. And suddenly there's an alternative. If you choose not to use that alternative, that's you. That's on you. But there is an alternative to a bank. That's crazy. So really, I just want better quality services for a lower cost.
Okay, we only have one minute left, so I'm going to ask a question. I mean,
by the way, I was told we had 40 minutes, and that only started with 30.
So
I took another 10 seconds just pointing
you
that out.
You can complain to the organization. I'm sorry. So, I mean, what I like most of the blockchain world is the crypto. I mean, I think the real disruption is there. So my question is it the right moment to buy crypto, or what do you think? Before the answer, this is not an investment advice. Do your own research. Okay.
So well, skin in the game guy. So my answer is, if you look on a timeline that's a very long time horizon, like there's no time like the present. If you're very short term in your thinking, basically, I think the question you should be asking yourself is, do you want to control your own money? And if the answer is yes, you should buy. It has nothing to do with what the price is today. I think that's a distraction from the actual value that's being provided. Like what we're doing is we're programming trust. All these industries that have middlemen, wiped out, done, just gone. Like absolute just rubbish. They're gone away. We're providing a good service and wiping out a bunch of middlemen. That sounds like a better quality service. So yeah.
I would say yes. Buy crypto, buy Bitcoin. Everyone here should have at least 1% of their net savings in Bitcoin. Just do it. Just do it. Don't be afraid. 1%. That's nothing. Like just buy 1% of your net savings. I keep buying every time it goes to a minimum. I keep buying Bitcoin.
Okay, 10 more seconds. Sorry.
Well, I really cannot provide investment advice representing Bankia, but from a personal view, and this is important, it's a personal view. I own Bitcoin.
Do you own any?
Yeah, of course. But I don't want to disclose the amount, but yeah. Well, I think blockchain in general is about markets and money. And Bitcoin is, from my personal view, I insist on that, the only one use case, the really only one use case built on top of the blockchain is money. Bitcoin is the use case is going to grow in the future from my personal view.
Okay, 5 seconds to Eric. Okay, 10.
Yeah, I'm not as big of a fan of cryptocurrencies as the rest of you, but I'll keep that offline.
Okay.
The lawyer.
It was an amazing panel. I hope you liked it. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Madrid.